because I am a sane person who understands the law, I also know that the FBI, does not run around updating its investigation and releasing the very latest on what they found. And people who are demanding that the FBI or DOJ do so do not know anything about law enforcement. Some of us have been covering in depth legal cases and matters and have even tried cases and matters for years. That is how I have spent the past 30 years of my life, plus trying cases involved in the legal system as a trial attorney, then a Supreme Court correspondent covering cases, civil and criminal, then as a legal correspondent for Fox News, legal commentator for Fox News, and ever thereafter. And let me tell you something. The FBI does not run around updating its information after somebody gets indicted. It doesn't. It would be extraordinary if it were to do so. And the DOJ is extremely tight-lipped, normally, on its criminal cases. When it's not, it's behaving inappropriately. When it's not, you have rogue prosecutors who wasn't with the DOJ, Tish James, but like her, the Attorney General of New York, running around trying to update her case against Donald Trump, or Fani Willis shooting her mouth off about Donald Trump. What did we do when those prosecutors did that? We ripped them a new one because it's inappropriate. Stop requesting or requiring the FBI or the DOJ to update its evidence for you. You're not the target audience. They're trying to preserve the integrity of this case for when they get it in front of a jury who are the only people who matter. I'm sorry, but their opinion is the only opinion that's going to matter in this case. And they will come to that opinion based on evidence that gets submitted to them that passes the rules of evidence, which are there to maintain the integrity of a case and an investigation and of the defendant's constitutional rights. That's how our system
And it was
is.
clear to me then, and has become all the more clear to me since, as I've gotten to know her more, that this is somebody with an immense amount of strength and courage. So when people look at Erika and say she's acting strange, I've never seen a grieving person act this way. Well, I agree. She's an exceptional person in an extraordinary situation, handling it with remarkable poise and dignity. That is a virtue, and virtue is a strange thing in our day. And even if she were not an impressive person, she would still be a grieving widow. She would still be my friend's wife. And I would still feel duty-bound to support her, as I have over these past 3 months in ways both public and not. So what I am asking everybody, including Candace, is to please leave this woman alone. Let her grieve. Let her pick up the pieces of her shattered life in whatever way she sees fit. She deserves that grace. And we owe it to her. Not because of any specific debt, not because we have no right to question her. Of course, we do have the right. But we have a moral obligation as children of our Heavenly Father to be charitable and kind towards suffering widows, especially the widow of a man that all of us on the right say that we respected and admired. All told, the tragic reality is that 3 months after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, the leftists who want us dead are more emboldened than ever. They are thrilled. And that was always the worst possible outcome. It's a trajectory that, if it continues, could destroy not only what Charlie built, but also what's left of the conservative movement. A movement that is the only thing standing between Western civilization and the forces that wish to tear it down brick by brick. That's the reason sociopaths like Tyler Robinson are smiling right now. They know they're winning, and we cannot let them, which means we all must return to the facts, to the truth, and our defense of it, which is the mission that Charlie lived for and died for. We cannot let it die with him.
Yes, 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 yes. Finally, folks, this This is what uniting the right actually looks like. When conservatives like Matt Walsh and Megyn Kelly, she could have done a lot more, but I'll take it. When they finally stand up and call out Candace Owens' lies, that's not division, that is accountability. That's maturity. That's the right refusing to be hijacked by conspiracy and chaos. I am a free speech advocate. We are all free speech advocates. But Candace has every right, at every turn I've seen, she has said outlandish things, but she has every right to do it. She has every right to say whatever wild thing she wants. That's America. But free speech doesn't mean free from challenge. And it definitely doesn't mean the rest of us have to sit quietly while she attacks a grieving widow and tries to tear down everything Charlie Kirk built, everything he stood for, everything TPUSA continues to fight for. Silence is not unity. Truth is unity. Courage is unity. Calling out misinformation, especially when it comes from our own side, is unity. Conservatives are supposed to be the common sense people. We're supposed to be the grounded ones, the patriotic people who love truth more than tribalism. And right now, it's time for the right to come together and say, we stand on truth, we stand on freedom, we stand on patriotism, and we will not let lies, ego, or conspiracy tear this movement apart. This is how we unite the right. Not by bowing to noise, but standing firm in truth. Bravo, Matt Walsh. Finally, you called her out. All right, folks. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you all as you watch this broadcast. I'm KJ. It is time for Pop and Politics. Shelly and Nicole are out tonight, but I had to come on. I started to cancel it, but when I saw this breaking news, how Matt Walsh finally came out and called out Candace Owens, I had to come on with you all. I wanted to get you guys' comments. I wanted to hear what you had to say about it. More and more people are starting to sound off. As I said last night on Christian Conservative, definitely check out that broadcast at KJ Christian Conservative where we go through it biblically. But I said this last night, more and more people are starting to sound off now that Erika Kirk has been coming out in the news. She had a ton of interviews recently with Glenn Beck, Barry Weiss. She was on Fox News, and she finally called out Candace Owens. She finally called her out by name, and I'm happy that she did. All right, we got a lot to cover. Before we light this fire, folks, do your part. Tap that thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, and turn on your notifications. We are live here on YouTube. If you're on the go, you can catch us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify under the name Pop and Politics. We love our chat. We shout out every super chat. So drop your thoughts, show your love, and join the conversation that the mainstream media wishes didn't exist. This is not just a podcast. This is a movement of God-fearing, truth-seeking, America-loving people that value freedom. Stand with us and subscribe so we can amplify this rallying call for freedom. All right, I am going to set it off tonight. So before I do see we have some super chatters here. Thank you guys so much for hanging in. I know, like I said, usually Nicole and Shelly are right here with me. They are out tonight. We will be back all together on Monday. We have Gail Smiley with the $5 super chat. Says, I'm really disappointed in Megyn. I think she's not naming Candace because of her pride, not ethics. What do you think? All right. Very good question. Very good statement. Thank you so much for your super chat. I have been I unfollowed Megyn Kelly. I unfollowed her. And let me tell you something. I used to listen to Megyn Kelly every day. I used to listen to her on podcasts. And I stopped after all of this. Remember you all when she, totally came out when Ben Shapiro, when he was on her show, and he said that Candace Owens is actually coming out against TPUSA, against Erika Kirk. And then Megyn Kelly came back after that interview and did a special rebuttal to Ben Shapiro, saying that when we all who have seen and we've been watching, we know that Candace Owens, that is exactly what she was doing. I was through with her then. Okay. But I don't know if it's like, because you all know Megyn Kelly has a journalist background. So I don't know if she just didn't know what was going on. I don't know if it was a thing where she wanted to really sit and take in all of it and then come back with, a large rebuttal grounded in facts and data and specific, timestamps, refuting what Candace said. I don't know. Okay. I don't know. But I know she was wrong. And I know she owes Ben Shapiro a huge apology. Okay. She owes him a huge apology because he told her that what Candace was doing, and she said that wasn't true. She came out and said it was not true. So she owes him an apology, and I hope she does it on air. I hope. Now, she has came out and said, outside of what I showed at the top of this show, where she still had named her, but she was pretty much refuting Candace Owens about how she's been saying the FBI, the police, all are, not giving out enough information. She was saying that TPUSA and Erika Kirk were not answering her questions and giving out additional information. All of this crap she has been, spewing for the last several months and enriching herself on it. And Megyn Kelly came out and said, you can't give out this information. We have a trial to, that's going on. You're supposed to get that information when the trial goes on, really. But she also said she was going to address Candace Owens. Now, she said Candace's name. She was going to address her soon. So we should be expecting that probably next week. Okay. I hope so. But until then, honestly, Megyn Kelly's name is mud to me. Okay. That M stands for Mud Kelly in my book. Okay. Because she has come out against any and everything else, from politics to pop culture. She talks about everything from Obama to Serena. No, I want to say Serena Vanderwoodson, but the girl, all pop culture. And she hadn't said anything about this. So I'm anxious to hear what she has to say on this. All right. So, but let's get back to particularly Matt Walsh, because Matt Walsh has said that he waited so long because he has a personal relationship with Candace Owens. He said that in the past. And so he said that he would not openly object or call her out, or anyone out for that matter, due to his personal relationship. He also made a comment about how he didn't like all this infighting on the right, and he feels like we need to focus our attention on the left, which I agree with. However, that's not what Candace Owens has been doing. And she has been, she's talked about President Trump. She's pushed back against his agenda. She's talked about Erika Kirk. She literally said she wants to pretty much destroy TPUSA. So I don't understand how we can unite on the right without responding, reacting, and calling out her, Candace Owens, which he has finally done. And I think it was a powerful way that he did it, particularly the way he called out how she has been nasty and just disgusting to a widow, to Erika Kirk, not only to Erika Kirk, but also to Charlie's friends, his co-workers, his employees that he handpicked. I mean, the list goes on. She has been the nastiest. Oh, it's just disgusting. On a Christian conservative last night, we prayed about it. We prayed on this, folks. And then today they come out against it. So I don't know. Tell me, do you think I'm making too big of a deal out of this? But I'm happy with this. I am excited about this, and more people on the right need to call it out. Okay. We are, as I mentioned earlier, we're supposed to be the ones who stand on truth. Okay. We're supposed to be the ones who, unlike the left, who they embrace their radicals. All right. They embrace them. We don't do that here. Okay. We call out people, no matter if they claim to be on the right or not, because we stand on truth. All right. And people who have not called out Candace Owens are doing the direct opposite. All right. And this, guess what? We on the right have been doing this for many, many, many years, for decades in history. Okay. There are real historical examples of conservatives standing up for truth and freedom, even when it costs them politically, socially, and personally. All right. And I want to go through just a couple of characters so we can understand this is what we do. Okay. Lincoln and early Republicans stood against slavery at a time when it was politically dangerous and culturally explosive. All right. Republicans, and I'm going to get into this a little deeper later because we gotta go over that crazy woman who was arguing with Scott Jennings. But Republicans were the ones who passed the 13th, the 14th, and the 15th Amendments. After the Civil War, it was radical Republicans who pushed those through. The abolition of slavery, citizenship rights for former slaves, and voting rights for Black men. Okay, they did this against fierce Democratic opposition and even moderate Republicans who wanted to move on. It wasn't convenient. It was courageous. This is what we do. All right. Barry Goldwater. Some people, he's been controversial, but folks, Goldwater was a constitutional conservative, and he opposed certain expansions of federal power in the Civil Rights Act, not because he supported segregation. Check the history. He desegregated the Arizona National Guard, but because he believed in limited government. He was slandered as a racist, abandoned by party elites, and crushed politically, but he stuck to principle. And then there's Ronald Reagan. Remember, he called out the Soviet Union as the evil empire. All right. At a time when media, academics, and even many Republicans wanted to shut him up. Okay. There's so many of this stuff. And then Trump himself. Oh my gosh. Remember when he first ran in 2016? Do you guys remember that? And he was calling out all the establishment Republicans. He was calling them all out. And when he initially ran, most on the right were against him. They said he was crazy. They said he was nasty. They said he was calling out the Bushes. He was calling out the Clintons. He was calling out everyone, even on his own side. He called out China on trade when both parties wanted to stay silent. Okay. For 20 plus years, Democrats and establishment Republicans let China cheat us. Unfair trade practices, forced technology transfers, all of it. But Trump was the one who was pushing back, even when economists who agreed said politicians were too scared to take action. But Trump broke silence on that. And he slapped tariffs on everybody, on China, renegotiated trade terms, and publicly exposed how China had been ripping us off for decades. This is what I'm talking about. This was not politically convenient. Everybody came against him, the media, Wall Street, globalists, but he told the truth. China is America's biggest threat. And then there's what he did with the embassy in Jerusalem. Remember that? Every president said that they were going to move the embassy to Jerusalem, and they didn't do it. Everyone. But President Trump was the one to do it. Clinton, Bush, Obama, they all promised to move the embassy, but backed down every time. Why? Fear of backlash, fear of controversy, fear of global pressure. Not Trump. Say what you want about the man, but pretty much if he says he's going to do it, he generally do it. He fulfilled the promise. He affirmed Israel's sovereignty and stood firm, even as world leaders and media outlets predicted disaster. But guess what? It was the morally right and strategically honest thing to do. So again, I'm saying all this to say, we on the right have to continue to do these things, even if it means calling out people who say they're on our side, which Candace Owens is not said. She's totally against conservatives now. I mean, goodness, I don't know where this, I know, you know what? This has not, I don't think people have said this, but in my opinion, she's getting advice from Kanye West and the Tate brothers. I really believe that, because the way she has been acting over the last year or so, this is how they were acting. If you recall, this was Kanye. She's sporadic. She's, outlandish. She's unhinged. This was Kanye. Same thing with the Tate brothers. She's embraced Islam. She's slammed evangelical Christians. She was on Twitter today, or X, going back and forth with Allie Stuckey, because Allie uses biblical references when she is talking about things to do with, everyday life. I mean, Allie B. Stuckey always references the Bible. She was the original Christian conservative, okay? She's who I want to be like. I mean, I have Christian conservative at my other YouTube channel, but everyone who has, come out after, within the last couple of years, Allie B. Stuckey is the standard. I mean, she used everything that she talks about, whether it's in pop culture, whether it's in politics, she goes back to the Bible to provide context. And really, that's how all Christians should do. You got Candace Owens talking about her for doing that. So, I mean, this is the right thing to do, okay? I say all that to say this is the right thing to do. And not only that, but I said this last night. Let's say Candace is, she truly believes, I think it's a grift, but let's say she truly believes that she's searching for truth. She doesn't believe that the guy that was arrested is the one who did this, and she really believes that there's more to the story. But why does she have to slam Charlie Kirk's widow? Why is she going about chastising and accusing Charlie's closest friends? Why is she trying to destroy TPUSA? This is not something a friend would do. And she's gleeful about it. Just today, it was either today or yesterday, on her show, she was talking about how Charlie Kirk's show ratings, the Charlie Kirk podcast, that was the Charlie Kirk show he had started prior to his death, was falling in ratings. And she was happy about it. This is clip 5. Take a look.
And we announced, or it was announced today, that Charlie Kirk's show, which they are continuing, and which once upon a time enjoyed the #1 spot on Apple Podcasts, has now plummeted, right? This is a tweet. Breaking news, the Charlie Kirk show has crashed in the rankings, falling to number 94 on Apple Podcasts, even though it routinely held the top 10 spot in the past and even reached #1 when Kirk was alive. The reason for that is simple. It is clear. People are telling you how they feel, and they feel that you are not being honest. They feel that they are not getting the truth from the very people who keep trying to market themselves as his closest friends. And I'm saying marketing intentionally because it feels as though they have transformed into a badly run PR firm from the early 2000s, where you try to use celebrities to influence the public. You get like, Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake to wear your denim, and everybody just then starts wearing denim, right? And I will add on to this that I certainly myself am compelled.
No, you wench. The reason why the podcast may be falling is because the man died. It was the Charlie Kirk show. People tune in to see Charlie Kirk. Okay? Of course, there's going to be a dip in ratings because the man has passed away. But did you guys see how giddy she is about it? She feels like, oh, I'm winning. Because her podcast has risen. Now, she was on a dip right before Charlie Kirk died. And then since he has died, her podcast has risen. And guess what it's being supported by? Radical Islamists and leftists. That's why her podcast has risen. Okay? Because now she has a larger pool of people to pull from. Because she's against the right. She's against conservatism. She's against Trump. So now she has wacko people watching her like Rosie O'Donnell and other TDS people. And she's come out against evangelicals. She's come out against Christians, Bible believers, and she has been very cozy with radical Islam. So she's got that pool of people watching her. You got people radical Islamists on the internet who are quoting her, who are saying we have a great in the Americas now because we have people like Candace Owens, pushing back against Zionists. Yes, this is what's going on. So of course she's going to catapult on the podcast and on YouTube because she has now opened herself up to a larger pool of people, and she sold her soul. She sold her soul. Oh my goodness. Wow. All right, folks. Again, as you all come in, please hit that like button. It really helps to get this video out in front of a wider audience, and subscribe. Folks, we are all about, we are God-fearing, truth-seeking, America-loving patriots that value freedom. This is what it is here. Okay. And I guess I sort of took a very passionate approach to this because it's sort of like, I think about something like this. This is something that I started here, many years ago, and I have this company, and and I'm thinking about what would happen if something happened to me, and then God forbid. And then people went out of their way to accuse Shelly of being involved with something that happened to me. And my husband is saying, no, Shelly is like a sister. She was like a sister to KJ. She has nothing to do with it. But somebody out in the atmosphere is continuing to say that Shelly was the one who had something to do with something that happened to me. This is ridiculous. It is evil. It is disgusting. Okay. And I'm so grateful that Matt Walsh has finally called it out. And I hope more people call it out. All right. So again, as you all come in, hit that like button and subscribe. All right. Again, as I said, Shelly and Nicole, they are out tonight. Everyone will be back on Monday. If you all are watching for the first time, it's generally not a one-man show or one lady show. I have two other ladies that are generally here with me, but they are out tonight, and they will be back on Monday. We will be back on Monday. Also, you guys know that they are going to live stream Monday. TPUSA is live streaming their responses. So remember, there was a back and forth between them and Candace Owens about responding to all of her allegations, all of her accusations. They plan to respond on Monday. So I am going to live stream that from a Christian Conservative. So definitely, folks, if you haven't done so, check out at KJ Christian Conservative. I'm going to live stream that on Monday when they are talking about they're responding. They were supposed to be responding. They're going to have an array of people on there to respond. I hope they bring on Ben Shapiro, because let me tell you something. And I know people have their issue with Ben Shapiro. I get it. But let me tell you this. Out of everybody that Candace Owens has gone up against, she hasn't won against Ben Shapiro, okay? And say what you guys want about that man. But to me, he is one of the ones that I would say I want to see him take her on. I really do. I want to see him take her on because he's smart enough, he's fast enough, he's witty enough to take her on and go toe-to-toe with her on every lie that she has peddled over the last several months. So if TPUSA is smart, they need to have him on and some of the other gentlemen from Daily Wire. Let me tell you, and you guys sound off in the chat. My all-star lineup, when they go out and they rebut every, the things that she said, I would love if they had, of course, they're going to have Andrew Colvett. I believe all the TPUSA guys that hosted the podcast with Charlie. I hope they have Allie B. Stuckey. I would love if they have Ben Shapiro. I would really love if Steven Crowder was on. Really love if Steven Crowder was on with them. Let me see. Anybody? I said Allie B. Stuckey. I think that's it. I don't think Tim Cass. He's too emotional. But yeah. Steven Crowder, Ben Shapiro, some of the other Daily Wire boys, Allie B. Stuckey. I feel like I'm leaving out somebody. Who you guys think? Sound off in the chat. Let me know who you think. Who would you want on this panel with the TPUS? I don't want Erika on. I don't want Erika on. I think she needs to just. I mean, I get what she's doing. Because it's just her. She has to push back. But I just wanted this poor lady to take a break. Take a break. Yeah, Shelly. Shelly needs to be on. Right. April Chapman. Yes. Yeah. They need to have a lineup of people and just go in on this. Every lie this woman has told. Every lie. Yeah. And just for to really get in, so Candace can get her panties in a bunch. Bring in Dennis Prager on a TV and have him remote in. Yeah. Who else? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, just they need to do it. I hope it's not just these TPUSA guys. God bless these boys. God bless these guys. But they need, I want a lineup of people. I want a lineup. Okay. So we'll see. But I am going to be live streaming this on KJ Christian Conservative. I am going to live stream this when they go on, and I am going to be providing, hopefully Michelle is can come on too. And we're going to be providing commentary as they do this, so we can watch it together on Christian Conservative and really just again, to see what they say. So again, that's at KJ Christian Conservative. Definitely check me out. There it is. At KJ Christian Conservative. And so I'm going to live stream that on Monday afternoon. All right. So moving right along, I want to move on to another topic here, folks. Again, as you all come in, hit that like button and subscribe. We have a goal here at Pop and Politics to hit 250,000 subscribers by the end of the year. We can do it, but we need your help. So please, We don't have radical Islamists, backing us, and we don't have Qatar. We're not being paid by Israel. It is just us, folks. We are a small crew here. I can count on my hand how many of us, and so we're doing this on our own. And so you guys are all we have, and we appreciate your support. All right, so I want to change gears and talk about another all-star on the right. I want to talk about this fiery exchange on CNN with Scott Jennings and a lady by the name of Amisha Cross. Now, before I really get into this, I want to let you guys know I never get along with Isha girls. I generally don't. And what I mean by that is girls with the first name ends in Isha. Bonquisha, LaKeisha, Nisha, Ronisha, Amisha. All the Isha girls throughout my life have always been a problem. I got one good friend, Keisha. But other than that, Keisha is all right. But the Isha girls, I never get along with it. And this is a prime example. This girl is Amisha. This is a new one, Amisha. So on CNN, there was a panel dissecting Indiana's failed Republican push to redraw congressional maps, which would have axed 2 Democrat-leaning seats. This was pushed by President Trump and Governor Mike Braun, but it was voted down. So Scott Jennings is talking about this on this interview panel on CNN, and he kicks it off by calling out Democrats as gerrymandering pros. Okay, so as we know, Democrats have for many years have led the charge in redrawing maps. Okay, this is not a secret. While they whine about democracy dying, Democrats in multiple states like New York, Illinois, here in Maryland is known for gerrymandering, and it was all done by the Democrats. Okay, but now because some Republican governors are changing maps, it's a big deal. In comes this Amisha Cross. And what does she do when they're talking about this? She accuses Republicans of systemic Black voter suppression. All right. I want you guys to check this out. This is clip 1.
Amisha, do you want to respond to Scott there?
Absolutely. I was born Black. I'll be Black all my life. I don't want to hear anybody say that the Republican Party has not gone out of its way to keep people who look like me away from the ballot box, because it's painfully untrue. It is something that has been charged in the courts time after time, decade after decade, particularly across the South, where the largest concentration of Black people live. So we've seen those in Georgia. We've seen it in Texas. We've seen it. Well, those states are not led by Democrats, first and foremost. I let you talk. Would you please let me finish? Thank you very much. Beyond that, we have to be very serious about the concentration and the erosion of civil rights across this country. And yes, that also proceeds with voting rights. The erosion of the Voting Rights Act has been done holistically by the Republican Party. What we've seen from Donald Trump is someone who wants to and continues to try to expand his power by the most illegal means. So yes, those orders were challenged. Those orders were challenged in Venezuela because, quite frankly, there was no impetus to go there to begin with. What we do know is that more than likely, this was illegal. First and foremost, that's why he's trying to hide the videos.
Okay, so a couple things. Number one, has anyone ever personally tried to stop you from voting? Answer, no. Number two,
I vote in Illinois. I don't vote in the South.
Number three in this country, I hate to remind you of our history, but it was the Democratic Party that tried to suppress Black votes in this country, not the Republican Party.
And I would love to remind you that when the Jim Crow laws were eroded, they were eroded by the Democratic Party, not by Republicans who tried to hoist them up and tried to continually re-enter Jim Crow in the modern era.
I think you need to reread your civil rights history. The Democratic Party doesn't have a clean record on this, but the bottom line is Democrats are going to continue to be ruthless. They're going to continue to try to gerrymander. They're going to continue to try to say the president's delivering illegal orders to mess up our military. Who knows what they'll do in Washington from here on out. But the bottom line is Republicans tonight didn't do this redistricting. Democrats are going to keep doing it. And if you're looking for who the most ruthless partisan players are, the Democratic Party.
Republicans are treating Trump exactly as what he is, a lame duck. And I'm glad that Indiana showcased that they do have some backbone that can stand up. And I hope other Republicans do across this country.
Amisha Cross and Scott Jennings will.
All right. This is the Isha girl. Isha just literally said roaded. Did you hear her when she said, yeah, Republicans wrote it. And first of all, she's loud and she's wrong. All right. And so I want to talk about this. Okay. So firstly, as Scott Jennings said, there is no legal ban on minorities voting anywhere in the South. Okay. The 15th Amendment and the Voting Rights Act of 1965 prohibit denials of the right to vote based on race. All right. We know this. These Democrats are so upset because recently we have seen more there. We were asking for voter ID, and honestly, I think they should get rid of mail-in voting. I think that should be left like it used to be for absentee ballots. We should have that, but no more mail-in voting and no more election month. All right. I hate that. We have ever since COVID, which was all by design. This was all this stuff came in after COVID, which they didn't have to do. They started this month. You can vote for a whole month. All right. And you can mail in vote and all this type of stuff. This erodes our electoral process. Okay. But this is what the Democrats want. And this is what she wants. But when we call for election integrity, when the right calls for election integrity, they then race bait. They say, oh, no, you're trying to stop vote Black people from voting. And it's far from the truth. Number one, the numbers don't match it. More Black people are voting in elections than ever before. So if they're being, stopped somehow, I don't know how, the numbers don't match it. Okay, the numbers do not match it. But we do want our system protected. We want voter integrity. And so you should have to present your license when you vote. Everyone should have a license or an ID, some type of ID you need to present. There's no issue with that. Okay. And they have done this over and over again. Surveys have been taken of Black people all over the country. And they say, I can get an ID. I have an ID. You present your ID and then you vote. Simple as that. All right. And so this is what they have an issue with. And she mentioned Texas and Georgia. So Texas passed the voter ID law. And they also have been removing large numbers of non-citizens and felons from the voter rolls. Well, what do you expect when under Biden, he let in millions of illegals? What do we expect to happen? Just in Virginia, they had voter rolls where they had dead people on the voter rolls. Maryland is the same way. And Georgia did the same thing. They tightened the voting process. This is not disenfranchising Black voters. It's securing our electoral process. Simple as that. All right. But she's talking about Republicans roaded Jim Crow laws. That's another lie. Look, Isha girl, this is prime Isha. She says Republicans wrote Jim Crow laws. That is a lie. So we know that the Democrat Party wrote the Jim Crow laws. After the Civil War and Reconstruction, the South was basically run by white Southern Democrats. They controlled almost every state government in the old Confederate states. And what did they do with that power? They created Jim Crow laws. It was the Democrats' laws. And we know those were laws designed to separate Black people from white people and keep Black citizens from having political power. They used back then, they did use things like poll taxes, literacy tests, and other tricks to deny Black Americans from voting. But it wasn't Republicans. It was the Democrats. Okay. And it wasn't a small group. It was the main Democrat leadership in the South had a huge influence inside the National Democrat Party. Okay. So Northern Democrats existed too. but it was the Southern Democrats who ran the show when it came to writing and enforcing Jim Crow laws. So she's wrong. She's wrong. She's loud and she's wrong. Jim Crow was created, enforced, and protected by Southern Democrats to keep Black people from voting and to maintain political power. All right, Amisha. Okay, and that's the truth. That is the simple truth. All right. And you know, they try to say, oh, the party switched. No, they did not. It didn't do that. No, that's not the way it happened. The South didn't switch parties because of race. It switched because of economics. All right. And this have been backed up by political sciences for many, many years. All right. You know, the political scientists found that as the South became wealthier and more industrialized in the 1950s and beyond, richer Southerners, white and Black, started voting Republican because the GOP's economic ideas made more sense for them. And let me tell you how I know this. So again, I'm here in Maryland. All right. My grandmother has passed on many years now. But when she was alive, you better not call her a Democrat. She always talked about how she was a Republican. She's a Black woman. And she talked about how she was a Republican. Now, she didn't, I don't know if she was like, she was a little, she had dementia and everything. But she knew the old days. She just didn't know what was going on modern times. But that's all she talked about, how she was a Republican. And a lot of Black people in the South were Republicans. Okay. So poor Southerners stayed Democrat for decades. So if the switch was about racism, the whole South would have flipped instantly in the 1960s, but that didn't happen. Some states didn't elect Republican legislators until 2010. That's 40 plus years later. Okay. So in both 1948 and 1968, Democrats ran presidential campaigns against civil rights. And when civil rights bills were voted on, it was the Republicans who supported them in higher percentages than Democrats. Southern Democrats were the ones filibustering and blocking civil rights protections. So Amisha, you don't know what you talk about. It wasn't Republicans who wrote it. She wrote it. She said ROTED. Did you guys hear that? She said wrote it. Okay. No, you're wrong. There's no evidence Southerners today are more racist than Northerners either. There was a Gallup poll that showed Southerners view race relations about the same as the rest of the country. And the most racially segregated places in the South are big cities, mostly run by Democrats. If you go out in the rural areas, in those, small towns, overwhelmingly, they're not as racist. Okay. And this is what it is. So she doesn't know what she's talking about. All right. Again, but I got to give props to Scott Jennings. Love him. He is always on point with this type of stuff. Can't get enough of him. So, folks, as you come in, if you're coming in just now, again, it's me tonight. Nicole and Shelly are off, but they will be back. We'll all be back actually on Monday at 9 p.m. We will all be back. So looking forward to that. We will be back on Monday at 9 p.m. right here on Pop and Politics. Again, I had to come on tonight and talk about how Matt Walsh has finally come out and chastised Candace Owens for her reporting, for her conspiracy, for calling, for really slamming and just outright disgusting behavior towards Charlie Kirk's widow, Erika Kirk. I had to come on. So yeah, this is where we are now on that. All right. Well, folks, that does it for me tonight. Again, just had to pop on and talk to you guys. So tomorrow you got to check out Just the Guys podcast. That's tomorrow night at 6:30 p.m. at Just the Guys podcast. They're here. That's our brother station here on YouTube. And they have a fantastic show lined up for you, give you a male perspective, still conservative, but a male perspective on the news in pop culture. And they really go deeper into how communism and socialism and Marxism have affected us today, have affected our politics, have affected our social atmosphere. So definitely check them out at Just the Guys podcast. And then I'll be back on Sunday night. Me and Michelle will be here at KJ Christian Conservative. That is where we go through the news and pop culture from a biblical perspective. So we are providing you with, we're backing up everything with the word of God. So if that's you, if that's something that interests you, check me out at KJ Christian Conservative right here on YouTube. All right. That does it for us tonight then, folks. Again, like I said, we'll be back here on Poppin' Politics on Monday at 9 p.m. Please share this broadcast in a DM. Send it out to, your social media. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe. Also, before you leave, hit that like button. It helps to tell YouTube to push this video out in front of a wider audience. And I certainly appreciate your support. I love each and every one of you all. Thank you so much. We're building community here. Got another super chat. Let's see here. All right. We got Shrinkrella with a $20 super chat. Says, thank you, KJ. God bless. Jesus is Lord. We need to fix this country and return to God. Amen. Amen. And folks, for all my Bible believing prayer warriors out there, please keep Candace Owens in your prayers. As I said last night, I am praying that she has a supernatural encounter with the Holy Spirit, where he just convicts her in a way, and that she turns away from whatever is she's dealing with, and that God really, really deal with her. I pray that justice is served in this. I'm praying for Charlie Kirk's family, his loved ones, his children. Please keep that family lifted up in prayer, praying that Erika Kirk is able to, withstand and endure everything that's coming against her. We do need to do that. So just again, want to lift them up in prayer and lift up our country in prayer, folks. We are, I believe, we are right now dealing with a spirit, a society of deceit, folks, of deception. And I am praying that God, provide us all believers with discernment, folks, with discernment. Give us, the eye, the vision, and the hearing to see through this deception in every area, every part of our lives, folks, not just the political, but our family, our social. We're going into the holiday season. And yes, it's a happy time for me. I love the holidays, but it's also a time of spiritual warfare. This is a very, it's known to be a time where people are dealing with a lot of issues. And so we need to keep everyone lifted up in prayer, asking that God's Holy Spirit just enter into everyone's household, break down barriers, break down evil. We just need to continue to keep everyone lifted up in prayer, because this can be a very difficult time for a lot of people. And so we just want to make sure, everyone just stay strong and stay and continue to pray and read your word. Read your word. All right. So I don't want to turn this into KJ Christian Conservative. All right. No, if you're just coming in again, Nicole and Shelly will be back on Monday. Okay. So don't worry. And again, thank you so much, Threequels, for your $5 super chat. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. All right, folks. All right. So Oh, wow. And Raldin with the $2 super chat. Thank you. I speak says Chris here in Huntsville, Alabama. All right. I know you're going to get some good food this weekend. That's one thing I love about the South. The food is good. So, yes, indeed. Kung Fu CJ says, dang, I'm late. What I missed? Hello, family. You got to rewind it. Kung Fu CJ. Yes, indeed. All right. All right, everybody. Love you all. God bless. Have a wonderful weekend. Eat some good food. Get out with some friends, family. And we will see you I'll see you on Sunday. Until next time, count your blessings and live a life of purpose. Good night.